University of Michigan's General Ford School of Policies. After completing her master's degree, she went on to work as a political analyst with the LA County Community Development Commission and the Office of the Los Angeles Mayor Antonio, sorry, I'm going to butcher this, Villagrosa, sorry. She also went on to earn her PhD and master's from UCLA Anderson School of Management. She was the first Latina in the School of History. She is now serving as a business school professor at La Jolla Marymount University. So please give a round for Angélica Gutiérrez.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Thank you, Javen, for that lovely introduction. And pardon my arm. I woke up numb about 2 days ago, and the doctors are still trying to figure out what's going on with my arm, but hopefully it'll get a little bit better. Before we begin, ¿cuántos padres están aquí que nomás entienden español? Que nomás hablan español. Levanten la mano. Bueno. Voy a tomar unos minutos para dirigirme a ustedes y simplemente los quiero felicitar primero por estar aquí para acompañar a sus hijos, porque es sumamente importante apoyarlos. Mi madre fue madre soltera y tuvo que sacar a mi hermano y a mí adelante y gracias a Dios ha podido hacerlo y simplemente les quiero dar las gracias de todo corazón por acompañarnos ahora. I am absolutely thrilled to be here with all of you. And I've always felt very connected to Upward Bound students because I feel that there's a part of me in all of you because I feel that we have a lot in common. So for example, how many of you grew up in a low-income neighborhood? Raise your hand. A good amount. How many of you grew up speaking Spanish or know how to speak Spanish? That's a lot. How many of you will be the first in your family to go to college? Very good. So we definitely have a lot in common. So there is absolutely no reason why all of you should not go on to pursue a PhD. How many of you are considering a PhD at some point? Very good. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I think this is the greatest number of hands that I've seen go up when I mentioned the PhD. And I am actually pretty confident that not only will you accomplish as much as I have, but I have a very big feeling that you guys will actually accomplish a lot more than I ever have in my lifetime. And the reason why I say that is because all of you are participants of the Upward Bound program, which is a program that thousands of students will never even get to be a part of. So you guys are definitely among the select few. And I just want to share with you a couple of things that have helped me get to where I am today, especially as you go on to pursue various goals and go on to college. The first thing that I definitely want to encourage all of you to do is to be who you are. Be yourself and never try to be who somebody else wants you to be. And the reason why I say that is because I spent a lot of time in college trying to be someone that somebody else wanted me to be. And that somebody else was my father. And I think some of you have heard me speak about my relationship, or lack thereof, with my father. But when I was a kid, my father actually fought with my mom a lot because he never wanted me to go to school. He was always arguing with my mom and often told her that I wasn't worth investing any time in because I was just gonna get pregnant and end up getting married. So my father was always telling my mom, you know what, she's not even worth going to put through school. And so they argued a lot, but eventually my father ended up leaving when I was only 7 years old, so my mom was forced to raise my brother and I on her own. So after my father left when I was 7, my mom ended up putting me in school, and then I never heard back from my father again until I was about to graduate from high school. And so he called me one day, it was toward the end of my senior year, and for some reason he had heard from one of his compadres that I was going to go on to college. So he calls me out of the blue. I hadn't heard from him since I was 7. He calls me and he says, hey, I heard that you're gonna be graduating from school. Didn't go to my graduation. But I also heard that you're gonna be going to college. And since you're gonna go to college, you should become an attorney, you should become a lawyer. And I always thought that was interesting as I was hearing him tell me that I should be a lawyer because this was the man that never even wanted me to go to school in the first place. So I listened to him and I decided, he's right, I should go to college and become an attorney. Because even though we didn't have a relationship, I desperately wanted to get my father's approval. I wanted to become someone that he could be proud of. And in my father's eyes, I could only be someone that he could be proud of if I became an attorney. So when I got to college, I decided to major in political science. And I decided that after I graduated from UCLA that I would go on to law school. But when I was at UCLA and I was studying political science and I was also interning in a local law firm, I realized that that was not going to be the right career for me because I was very miserable. I wasn't excited about going to the law firm and working there for 12, 13 hours straight. And after I talked to a couple of attorneys, they told me that it was often difficult for them to spend time with their kids, that they hardly had time to spend with their families. So when I was interning with them, I realized, you know what, this isn't the lifestyle that I want. There's no way that I'm ever going to be happy becoming an attorney. And it was at that point, it wasn't until my junior year in college that I decided, you know what, I have to be the person that I want to be. And becoming an attorney may very well make my father happy, he may be proud, but it's gonna make me very unhappy in the long run. And I share this with all of you because as you're going on to college, as you begin to explore different fields and different careers, I highly encourage you to keep in mind your own interests. Try your best not to allow what other people's views are of an excellent career. Try not to allow those views to influence your own. Try to pursue your own interest. And the reason why I also share this with you is because I actually have a lot of friends who are currently doctors, they're lawyers, they're engineers and accountants. And you know what? They have beautiful houses. They have great cars, but they often tell me that they're very unhappy. And there's been a couple of times that I've asked them, you know, you seem to have everything externally, you have every marker of success, but for some reason you're always unhappy. Why is that? And so many of them have told me it's because I'm not in the career that I wanted to be. I ended up becoming a doctor, I ended up becoming a lawyer or an engineer or an accountant because my parents or a teacher or somebody else told me this is who I should become. So I share this with all of you in an effort to try to save you some time and agony and really motivate you to just focus on being who you want to be, not being who anybody else wants you to be. And you know what? Another thing. If you go to college, when you go to college, if you decide to pursue a certain career, and you decide later in life that it's not what you want to do after all, it's okay to change. It's okay to change fields, to change disciplines. If you hit the age of 35, 40, 50, or even 60, and you decide that it's not what you wanted to do after all, don't be afraid of making the change. And I say that because statistics show that in a lifetime, the average American will change jobs 10 times. So it's okay for your interest to evolve with time, but just ensure that those interests and the choices that you make about your careers reflect your interest and nobody else's. Something else that I want to share with all of you is I definitely want to encourage you to be open-minded. Do not be afraid of venturing into fields or careers where there aren't other people who look like you. How many of you are interested in a STEM field? How many of you are interested in going into sciences, technology, engineering, or mathematics? Raise your hand. Be proud. Very good, so there's a good number. And I encourage more of you to consider a STEM field and the business field because I'll be honest with you, I'm currently a business professor and it's very intimidating. You may feel at times that you don't belong because there may not be other Latinos or other people who look like you, but just realize that you'll have the capacity to do well in those fields. So I strongly encourage all of you to keep an open mind and consider fields that perhaps you hadn't considered previously. Something else the third thing that I encourage all of you to consider is to focus on being passionate, not on being rich. And a lot of you are kind of looking at me like, what in the world? And I know it may sound strange to hear that, to focus on being passionate, not on being rich. And the reason why I say that is because I have met a lot of people who pursue certain careers based on what they believe will be the earning potential of that field. A lot of people think that by becoming rich, we'll become happy. But in reality, that is not the case. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people used to tell me that when I was growing up. I used to hear people say on television, or even keynote speakers, I used to hear them say, being rich is not gonna make you happy. And the first thing that used to come to my mind was, yeah, right, what do they know? Here I am growing up poor. My family had a very hard time providing us with the basic necessities. So I often used to look at those people and say, it's easy for you to say that being rich does not make you happy because you have wealth, because you have money. But believe me, coming from somebody who grew up with having very little, I can also tell you how important it is to pursue a career that you're passionate about, not just pursuing a career that's going to bring you wealth. And the reason why I say that is because there are actually a lot of studies which find that having additional money doesn't necessarily make people more happy. There have been a lot of studies conducted, for example, on lottery winners. And what do those studies find? They find that people who become millionaires overnight, people who end up winning the lotto, become more happy 6 months after they win. But after those first 6 months, their level of happiness actually decreases, or it goes back to the level of happiness that they had before they ever won the lotto. So that suggests that being rich and having wealth will not necessarily bring you more happiness. So I highly encourage you to make your selection regarding your major, regarding career, based on what you're passionate about and based on your interests, because the money will come eventually. And I realize that encouraging all of you to be open-minded, to be yourself, and to be passionate and not focus on riches, I realize that all of that may be very challenging. I realize that it'll be very, very difficult for some of us to achieve the goals that we aspire. But I'm here to tell you that you will make it. You will achieve all of your objectives. And I say that because I was able to. And how many of you are ready to go to college? How many of you will be going to college? Very good, congratulations. So those of you that are about to start college, I'm here to tell you that it's gonna be a very challenging path. And the reason why I say that is because I really wish that somebody would have told me it was gonna be difficult. I wish somebody would have told me, Angélica, when you get to college, you're gonna feel lonely. You're gonna feel like you don't belong because there aren't other African Americans, there aren't other Latinos there. You're gonna feel like it's not the place for you to be. I wish someone would have told me, Angélica, you're gonna feel homesick because it's gonna be the first time you're away from home, but you're gonna make it. I wish somebody would have told me, Angélica, you're gonna feel guilty leaving your family, but don't look at college as an opportunity for you to leave. Look at college as an opportunity for you to not only improve your life, but also help improve your family's life. I wish somebody would have told me all of these things so that at least I would have been mentally prepared. And that's why I'm sharing with all of you that when you're having these fears, when you're having these doubts and uncertainties, just know in your heart that you will make it. Because I was able to, and people who look like you were also able to make it, and they graduated and have become very successful. And we also have a lot of real-world examples of people who were able to persevere in the face of adversity and manage to succeed. We have a lot of examples. One example is J.K. Rowling. How many of you know J.K. Rowling? Okay, pop quiz. Who's J.K. Rowling? Author of Harry Potter. Did you guys know that when she first wrote the paper, she was so poor that she couldn't afford to purchase a computer? She wrote the first paper, the first manuscript for Harry Potter on one of those old computers. And she was going through severe depression. She had a hard time simply getting up from her bed. And she was struggling with a very bitter divorce. She was also struggling to raise a child on her own. And there were days that she didn't feel like she was going to be able to make it. And did you know that when she first finished that manuscript of Harry Potter, she went to 13 different publishers. And all of these publishers told her, no, it's not an interesting paper. It's not going to be an interesting book. The 14th publisher, Bloomsbury, decided to take a chance on her and told her, you know what, we'll go ahead and publish this paper, we'll go ahead and publish this book of Harry Potter, but don't continue writing books about Harry Potter because they're not going to be successful. Children's books don't have a market. And what ended up happening? She's been very successful, right? Because she was able to persevere. Another person who also had his share of challenges was Steven Spielberg. You guys all know Steven Spielberg, right? One of the biggest, most successful filmmakers of our times. Did you guys know that he was actually rejected twice from the most prestigious film school, which is USC? He was rejected twice, and he ended up going to Cal State Long Beach to study film. And he's been very, very successful. And as a result of that great success, USC even gave him an honorary degree from the film school. So that just comes to show how much all of us here, how much all of you can accomplish as long as you manage to persevere in the face of adversity. No matter how tough, how difficult college gets, because let me tell you, your journey is just about to begin. It's going to be extraordinarily difficult, but just push through it and you will get through it, I promise you that. Because at the end of the day, all of you that are here are the creators of your own destiny. You guys, everybody that's sitting here, are the future doctors, the future lawyers, the future engineers, the future astronauts, the future accountants, and yes, even the future presidents of the United States. But it's definitely up to you guys to make that a reality. Thank you so much, and good luck to all of you.